So, to answer the question, who am I? It's really relevant because I've just been reading this book right before I got here called The White Castle by Orhan Pamuk. And it's a section where this guy, who's an astronomer and a scientist, who has an Italian slave. The guy is Turkish and slave Italian. Sometime in the 15th or 16th centuries. So anyways, I'm going to read you a passage from this book. But later he found in this very emptiness the new idea he needed. Perhaps because he was left to his own devices, perhaps because his mind, unable to be still, could not escape its own rampant impatience. It was then that I gave him an answer. I wanted to encourage him. My interest too was aroused. Perhaps while this was going on, I even thought he cared for me. One evening when Hoja's steps creaked through the house to my room and he said, as if asking the most ordinary sort of question, why am I what I am? I wanted to encourage him and tried to answer. I replied that I didn't know why he was what he was, adding that this question was often asked by them, and asked more and more every day. When I said this, I had nothing to support it, no particular theory in mind, nothing at all, but a desire to answer his question as he wished, perhaps because I sensed instinctively that he would enjoy the game. He was surprised. He eyed me with curiosity. He wanted me to continue. When I remained silent, he couldn't restrain himself. He wanted me to repeat what I'd said. So they asked this question. When he saw me smile in approval, he immediately became angry. He wasn't asking this because he thought they asked it. He'd asked it on his own without knowing they did. He couldn't care less what they did. Then in a strange tone he said, as if a voice were singing in my ear. This mysterious voice reminded him of his beloved father. He'd heard a voice like that too before he died, but his song had been different. Mine keeps singing the same refrain, he said, and seeming a bit embarrassed, added suddenly, I am what I am, I am what I am. Ah! I almost laughed out loud, but controlled the impulse. If this were a harmless joke, then he should laugh too. He wasn't laughing, but he realized that he was on the verge of appearing ridiculous. Further down, he says, then again, perhaps this time I would genuinely be able to respect him. If he could do this, something real might now happen in both our lives. So what should I do? He asked helplessly at last. I told him he should think about why he was what he was, and that I did not say this because I presumed to give him advice. I wouldn't be able to help him. This was something he had to do himself. So what should I do? Look in the mirror? He said sarcastically, but he didn't seem any less upset. I said nothing, to give him some time to think. Should I look in the mirror? He repeated. Suddenly I was angry. I felt Hojo would never be able to achieve anything on his own. I wanted him to realize this. I wanted to tell him to his face that without me he could not think at all. But I didn't dare. With an air of indifference, I told him to go ahead and look in the mirror. No, it wasn't courage, I laughed. I just didn't feel like it. He flew into a rage and slammed the door, shouting as he left, You are a fool.